Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Ludo's exhibition season Contagion and our quiz knowledge transmission. So I hope everyone is staying safe and is at home. We're really glad that you could be part of this event at Science Gallery Bengaluru's first ever digital exhibition season, Contagion, which explores the transmission of diseases, emotions, and behavior. We're really excited to have this as a part of our public engagement program. And I'd like to quickly introduce you to a bit about the quiz and our Quizmaster today, Thejaswi Udupa, before handing over the mic to him. As you know, our exhibition has 16 interactive exhibits and over 45 live programs that are happening that started on the 30th of April and will be running till the 13th of June. So please do grab a chance to see the exhibition. It's completely online. The link to the exhibition will be there in the chat box, so don't miss out seeing that. So when you explore that, I think you'll realize that there is a lot to be known about pandemics, past, present, and future. And this quiz today hopefully will allow you to explore all things contagious. The questions will be around various interesting facts and stories regarding epidemics and contagions all across the world. There'll be a preliminary round from which a number of participants will make it to the finals. I'd now like to introduce Thejaswi, who is the Chief Technology Officer at RoofandFloor, a digital real estate portal part of the Hindu. He's been a quizzer and quizmaster for over 2 decades and is actively involved with the Karnataka Quiz Association. For all those who are old hands in the quizzing circle, many of you, I'm sure, will recognize him. And we're really happy to have you here. And we're happy to have a wide and diverse group of quizzers joining us for this session. I'll now hand over to Thejaswi to familiarize you further with the rules and the event that's going to take place. Thejaswi.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thanks, Madhu. Fairly simple format for today's quiz. So we start off with a preliminary round, which has 20 questions. And the prelims is going to happen on this platform called WikiQuiz, which allows me to do strictly timed quizzes. So the prelim starts at 2:10 sharp and the submissions close at exactly 2:30 sharp, which means you have 20 minutes to put in your guesses for the 20 questions that you see on WikiQuiz. The questions are all fairly straightforward. Just read carefully, look at the wordings and take an intelligent guess. This is not a quiz for any sort of specialist. You don't need to have any kind of encyclopedic knowledge about infectious diseases to do well in this. Just take logical guesses and you should do fine. The top 8 will go through to the finals. If there are people who are tied at the 8th spot, I won't try to break the tie. I will let as many people in as possible. So finalists may be 9 in number or 10 in number as well. So that's perfectly fine. The link to the prelims will be shared here. It's essentially a registration link for WikiQuiz. You need to click on that link, enter your email ID, or you can connect through Facebook, whichever is more preferable to you. And once you register, right at 2:10, the quiz will start. So you can click on that link and you'll see the questions. So until 2:10, you won't be able to see the questions as well. Let me share the link in the chat box so that people who have come in nice and early can register themselves. Sorry, that's the wrong link. Let me quickly delete that. Zoom does not have a delete feature, is it, for chats? Gayatri or Madhu, one of you, can you see if you can delete the link that I've just sent?
Sure, Thejaswi, 1 second.
Only the host
can't delete it.
Unfortunately, we can't delete that, Thejaswi. Maybe we just add an addendum in the chat saying that that's the incorrect link and put the right link.
Okay. No, it's okay. I think that's the right link. I had some 2 tabs on WikiQuiz open. I thought I'd shared the wrong link, but it looks like I've shared the correct link only. So that's not a problem. People, you can click on that link and start registering. I will share the link once again at around 2 or 3 minutes so that people who have joined in later can also do the registration.
If you have any questions, you can just put it in the Q&A box. We'll be able to see it and Thejaswi will be able to answer them.
I think so far the only question has been what t-shirt I'm wearing. Quick hygiene check. Can all of you hear me clearly and see the screen? If not, just quickly mention in the Q&A so I can either be louder or talk a little softer. All right, very clear. Someone says, good, that's good. So I will talk at this volume only. So everyone, please register on the WikiQuiz link because that's where you will see the questions. Once the 20 minutes are up, I'll take around 5 minutes to correct your answers. I'll be correcting as we go along as well. So, and don't worry, you can keep changing your guesses right until 2:30. So that's not a problem. But you have whatever guesses you have to take, do it in the 20 minutes that the quiz is open. Because once 2:30 is done, whatever you've typed in so far will be considered as your final answer. So even if you fail to click on the submit button, that's okay. I get a real-time stream of your answers. So I will consider whatever I get until 2:30 as your guesses. Hopefully everybody is able to register without any problem. I will share the link once again. Here we go. So like I said, the preliminaries are 20 questions in 20 minutes. Starts in exactly 3 minutes. So 2:10 sharp is when you start seeing the questions. So before 2:10, make sure you register so that you have the full 20 minutes to put in your guesses. Make sure you put a guess for everything. There are no negative marks. If you've registered and then you click on the link that you get either in your email or in your Facebook notifications, depending on where you have registered, you will until 2:10 see a clock, essentially a countdown. Ani, this is not an answer form that you'll see. What you see right now is a link to register on WikiQuiz. Once you register, you will get a link in your mail or on Facebook based on what you've used to register, which is essentially the list of questions along with the space for you to answer. And you need to answer on that link. Questions will start becoming visible only at 2:10. Until then, you will see a countdown. I've shared the link once again for people who came in later. The questions will not be shown here on the slides. You just answer everything on WikiQuiz only. Once the WikiQuiz link is closed at 2:30, I will show you the questions along with the answers. People who finish early can try and get a look at the answers on WikiQuiz itself, because once you submit, answers will become visible, the right answers. You don't have to worry about spelling mistakes or typos or any such thing, since I am going to personally look at every answer that's typed in. As long as it sounds correct, you will get points. I'm a fairly generous Quizmaster. Jayashree, you don't have to share any register code. If you have registered, you will get a link. If you have used your email ID to register, you will get a link where you can attempt the quiz. You just have to click on that link. The share register code is to get other people to register. So that's not necessarily needed right now. Let me for one last time put the link to the registration form. You will have to register before you attempt the quiz because that's how the Wikiquiz platform differentiates each of your question papers. Yes, Amitayush, once registering, you just have to click the link shared by Wikiquiz. That's exactly what you need to do. Mahesh, yes, after registration, you will get a mail. Do check your other inboxes like spam or promotions because sometimes the mail goes into those folders. If you've used Facebook to register, you will essentially get a notification on Facebook with the link. The questions will be visible after you click the link sent by Wikiquiz. So it is 2:10 right now, so the questions should be visible. So you won't see the questions on the link that I've given. You'll see the questions on the link sent by Wikiquiz after you have registered. Let me share the link one last time because I think there are some people who have joined late. So what I've shared on chat is essentially the registration link. Use this link to sign up for the prelims, and Wikiquiz will automatically send you a link to the questions and answer form where you need to start making your guesses. Okay, there are people joining in now, so I'll keep sharing this on chat for the next couple of minutes. So Vasukaza, you can click on the registration link. So that's a link for you to register. You need to register. Once you register, Wikiquiz will either mail you or send you a Facebook notification based on what you use to register. Let me quickly see if people are typing in answers so that I know that it's working correctly. Yep, I see a lot of people typing in answers. So it means people are able to see the questions and answer without any problem. Jayashree, are you able to just saw your question once again? Or no, it's the same question that I answered. Don't bother about shared registration code or anything. All you need to do is click on the link that Wikiquiz has sent and you'll be able to see the questions in the answer form. For the prelims, you don't have to switch on your videos. It's okay. Just focus on quickly putting in the answers. All right, I think everyone's now busy attempting the questions, so I will leave you to it for the next 15 minutes. Anonymous attendee, please check other folders in your inbox as well, like promotions, updates, spam as well, because sometimes the link goes there. If you've used your email to register, if you use Facebook to register, you'll get it as a notification on Facebook. Looking at a lot of your answers for question 18, please read carefully. I'm asking for a city's name. A lot of you are guessing the word instead. I'm looking for a city's name. So if you've guessed something else, you can go back and change it to a city's name. And for question 8, I'm looking for a French phrase which is also used in its French version itself in English. So if you've given me an answer which doesn't sound like it's in French, you can take a second guess. You got 10 more minutes left to put in your guesses. I can see some of you giving very obviously Googled answers. Don't trust the first result that you see on Google. With the kind of phrasing I've put in, most of the times you're putting in wrong answers and it becomes very obvious that you're Googled. So given that there's nothing really at stake here for you, all you're going to lose is a bit of your reputation when I look at the fact that you've given me such obviously Googled answers. So don't do that. Play fair. Moreover, you'll be wasting a lot of time if you're trying to Google for them. While making guesses, read the question carefully. Very often in the phrasing, you will find clues for most of them.
Thejaswi, there's a question.
Let me just. Blanks are always indicative of length, so you can use that as a hint. See, lots of interesting guesses for most questions. Nice logical guesses. That's the spirit. Take a guess. More often than not, you will be correct. Yeah, but whatever you have submitted, I've got, not a problem. Yes, even if you don't make it to the finals, you can continue being on the Zoom link and watch the final as an attendee here. There is also a YouTube stream going on. Share the link with all the panelists once the prelims is done. So you can watch either on YouTube or here on the Zoom link. You can get other people to watch as well by sharing the YouTube link along on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Last minute left. So if you have any last minute changes that you want to do, quickly do it. Don't worry if you don't get the time to click on submit at the end of it. Whatever answers you've typed so far will be taken in as your answers. All right, time is up. Give me around 5 minutes. I will quickly take a look at all your answers and tell you who the top 8 or how many ever I'm taking into the finals are. Sutej, yes, I will give out the answers in the next 3-4 minutes. So stay on the YouTube link. Sorry, stay on the Zoom link, I meant, not the YouTube link. The YouTube link has been shared on the chat window. So you can, if you want to get off the Zoom link and watch the finals, you can do it there. All right, corrections are done and we have our list of finalists. Madhu or Gayatri, as in when I announce the name, can you promote them to being panelists?
Yeah, Gayatri?
Sure, I'll do that, Thejaswi.
All right. Meanwhile, let me also share the link of the YouTube stream on my Twitter account as well. So anyone who wants to watch can watch it. Let me just retweet this. All right. Let me announce the finalists now. We have Nitin Yashas, who topped the prelims. So Gayatri, please make Nitin a panelist. Anyone who makes it to the finals, make sure you turn your video on and all through the quiz, keep your hands visible. It's a hygiene rule that we follow for most online quizzes. After Nitin Yashas, the next finalist we have is a seasoned quizzer familiar to everyone, one of the best in the country, Thejaswi Mitra. So please promote Thejaswi as well to a panelist. Next up, we have Venkatesh Iyengar. And then we have one more famous name from Indian quizzing, Jayashree Mohanka. Next up, we have Siddhant Sadangi. Followed by Venkatesh Srinivasan, second Venkatesh to make it to the finals. And then we have Arun TP. And there were two people tied for the last spot. And like I promised before starting the prelims, I won't do any tiebreakers. If there's a tie for the 8th spot, I'll allow everybody who's tied at that score in, which means Nikhil I and Bertie Ashley will both make it to the finals. Don't worry, Anvita, I'll be quickly running through the prelims questions right now. Gayatri, do you want me to repeat the names of the finalists or you got them all?
I got them all, Thejaswi.
Perfect.
And some of them are rejoining.
All right, perfect. Let me then run through the answers for the prelims. A special mention, by the way, to people who just missed out, very narrow misses from Alok Prasanna Kumar, Harish Krishna, and Sutej Sharma. Good show, guys. You missed out by just 1 point. On any other day, you might have made it to the finals. All right, let's take a look at the prelims questions along with the answers. What did Peter Medawar describe as a piece of nucleic acid surrounded by bad news? These were essentially viruses. Copepods are primarily a reservoir for which deadly microbe? The answer here is Vibrio cholerae, the microbe that causes cholera. This, we had a wide range of cases covering pretty much every infectious disease. But the answer that I was looking for was essentially Ebola. All panelists right now be on mute except me because there might be feedback that causes some kind of echoing. So if you have been promoted to a panelist because you made it to the finals, be on mute for now. Unmute only when you're speaking during the finals. So this is Ebola. 4th one, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, China, 4 neighboring countries still had polio in the 2010s. The one other country which also did was Nigeria, in a completely different continent. 5th one, which novel did Charles Dickens write as a response to the anti-vax movement that was peaking in the 19th century? This is a novel where the protagonist is a smallpox victim. This is Bleak House. So which word in English from the world of music is cognate with plague? A lot of you went for pluck because plaque sounded quite a bit like pluck. which is why I've given the literal meaning of plaque as well so that it can help you. Plaque means to strike, and you usually strike musical instruments with a plectrum. So the word I was looking for is plectrum and not plucking. A lot of you got plectrum right. A couple of you wrote pluctrum, which is technically not a thing, but I gave you points all the same. I think you were trying to cover your bases by answering both pluck and plectrum in a single guess. That's okay. This one is leprosy. This is essentially the origin of leper colonies and such things. So, because they believed leprosy was a punishment for sins that you've committed, and they wanted people to stay away from them. That's why they did all these rituals. So they symbolically declared them dead by throwing cemetery earth on them, and they would have to wear a bell that would warn people of their approach so that people could get away. So this is leprosy. This one, I was looking for cordon sanitaire. That's the term that is technically used for creating a cordon around an area for health reasons. Anything that was reasonably close to the French expression I've given it. So don't worry about trying to be very exact. Most answers, if you were more or less there, you get points. This one, surprisingly, is Twilight. Edward Cullen was a victim of the Spanish flu, and he gets to live because he is converted into a vampire. So even something as mainstream and lowbrow as Twilight has a very nice pandemic connection to it. A lot of you did crack it, but I got a whole list of vampire novels as guesses for this. But good, not bad. This one, I think, stumped a lot of people. The way bacteria were observed first was essentially by making whatever material they were trying to find bacteria in through filters, usually made of porcelain and other such fine material. Viruses, being much smaller than bacteria, would go through the filters. So essentially, originally viruses were termed as filterable viruses because virus was then a more generic term. So bacteria was also considered a form of virus. And what we know as viruses today were essentially called filterable viruses. So filterable was the word I was looking for. I've given points to people who wrote filtered and stuff like that as well, because that's good enough. All right. Tuberculosis was also known as the white plague, a reference to both the black plague and the fact that people's skin turns very pale if you get tuberculosis. This, I think I got the maximum spelling variance as guesses. This is the Iliad and not the Odyssey as a lot of you guessed, but the Iliad is right. This one, the clue here was these people wanted to commit no sins at all. So they essentially wanted to be perfect. So the subset was called as perfectionists. This is essentially the next big one. I've given points for minor variants like next big thing, next big bang, somebody gets next big boom. So I got various options for the third word, but as long as you were sounding like you knew what you were talking about, you got points. This is the next big one. All right, this, a lot of you managed to work this out. Essentially, these are people who would have contracted mad cow disease. Of course, it's not called mad cow disease in humans. It's called variant CJD. But anyone who gave me either Crohn's-Jacob-Felt or variant Crohn's-Jacob-Felt or said mad cow disease or said bovine encephalitic syndrome, any of those things have given you points as long as you've given the answer. So it was very prevalent in UK during that time period, and humans never really were tested for this. But this is something that the US guys wanted to avoid. So that's the reason people who lived in
Hi, we'll just wait for a bit and see if Thejaswi is able to join back in.
Madhu, do we have a time as to how long this is going to go? I didn't prepare to come for. I didn't think I'll make it to the final, so I haven't made lunch yet.
So the whole event will definitely wrap up by 5 o'clock at the latest.
Lunch over. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Sorry, Bertie.
Good luck, everyone.
Yeah, I'm missing my nap, so it's like a big sacrifice as well.
Lunch.
Go quickly, grab a sandwich and come back.
Yeah, till Thejaswi rejoins, it might be.
That's what they were invented for. Card games, but similar.
Tejasvi said that he'll be back in a minute, so let's just. He's facing some difficulty with Zoom. Sorry about the delay. I think it's a good moment for a lunch, a snack break for those who like to go get a snack.
people are asking if on the stream on YouTube, if they could answer there, and is there any prizes or anything of that sort?
No, we don't have any prizes, but if there are questions that are turned to the audience, we can definitely bring them from YouTube here and share them with Thejaswi. That's not an issue.
All right, thank you.
He's rebooting. He's saying he's joining in 30 seconds. So. Hi, Thejaswi is back. Thejaswi, you're on mute. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. At some point, Zoom seems to have crashed on my laptop and I had to reboot. What I'm going to do now is, I'm assuming all of you saw the answers to all the questions in the prelims. If so, I will move on to announcing the seating order for the finals. Just give me 1 second. All right, welcome everyone to the finals, the finalists, as well as people watching here on Zoom, as well as on YouTube. Before I explain the format, let me quickly reconfirm the seating order. Sitting at seat number 1 is Nitin. Let's also do a quick mic check. So Nitin, unmute yourself and say something to make sure that I can hear you right.
Yeah, thanks for having you. Great quiz.
Perfect, Nitin, loud and clear. Next up, Debashri.
Hello.
Please unmute yourself.
Oh, 1 second. Put the video on as well. Hi.
You need to be a little louder, Debashri. I can't really
1 minute. Is this better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay.
The next question is visible. Are you starting?
Into the question slide. Let me stay here on clockwise. Venkatesh Iyengar, quick mic check from you, please.
You hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. That's good. Jayashri, mic check, please.
Yeah, hi, but my image is not visible. Can you see me? I'm back. Okay.
I can see you. So
okay. Something wrong with my laptop. Yeah.
All right. Siddhant, you're next in order. Can you quickly say a hi on the mic to make sure it's working? Siddhant, are you? You cannot hear Siddhant or see him right now. It's a blank screen there.
Just be sorry to interrupt, but I think the answers after the Peltzman effect question weren't shared for the prelims. Maybe after you finish the seating arrangements, we could just see.
All right, I'll do that. Not a problem. maybe that was the moment when Zoom hung. I went through the entire prelims PPT without knowing that Zoom had gone into an infinite loop. Siddhant, I still can't hear you. Can you unmute? You're unmuted. Say something and get your video on. You're on mute now, Siddhant. You need to unmute and turn your video on and speak.
From about 1525 to 1866, 12.5 million.
All right, Siddhant, you're visible now, but can you say something and show that we can hear you as well? No, not audible at all. We'll let you possibly rejoin. Meanwhile, I'll check on the others. Next up in the seating order is Venkatesh Srinivasan.
Hey, hi, Udupa. Hi, I just put on my video in a bit. Okay, just a couple of minutes.
Loud and clear. Your audio is fine. Next up, Arun TP. Can you quickly unmute and say something?
Hey, can you hear me now? This is Arun.
Loud and clear. That's good. Nikhil Indla, can you also unmute and make your presence known?
Hi, Thejaswi.
Nikhil, good. And Bertie.
Mic test 1, 2, 3. Check, check. 3, 2, 1.
Perfect. So this is the seating order, the order in which I rattled out names. So Siddhant, one chance again for you to make sure I can hear your answers.
Yeah, can you now?
Yes, I mean a little jagged around the edges, but should do.
Just quickly tell me my number, I'll rename.
It's okay. I can follow this order. I have the order jotted down here because I'm keeping scores as well. So don't have to worry about numbering. I will, when I'm passing along, I'll call out your name, answer when your name is called out. All right. Let me quickly show you the answers for the questions that you didn't see the answers to, but that will be hard because if I go back, let me stop sharing my screen and then go back. So you need answers from Peltzman effect onward, right?
Yes, yes.
So this was to do with automobile safety. Essentially, people who are wearing seatbelts are more prone to overspeeding and therefore more accidents and so on. So anything roughly on those lines got you points. Lasting legacy of the Antonine Plague was essentially Romans started looking at Christianity as a religion and started embracing them. So started becoming more popular among Romans. Became an official religion much later under Constantinople, but the Antonine Plague was the start of the rise of Christianity in the Roman Empire. Here I needed the city which gave rise to the concept of a quarantine. This was Venice. Even though the first instance of quarantine was in Lucrum of Dubrovnik, technically it's a Trentine since the isolation was for 30 days and not 40. Bubonic plague epidemics. This had nothing to do with the rats. A lot of you went on the rats angle. This is in fact to do with the intermediary between rats and humans, the fleas. Fleas are inactive in cold and dry conditions. So essentially winter, you don't have the vector that will transmit Yersinia pestis from the rats to the humans. Nothing to do with rats hibernating or the microbe itself being inactive in cold conditions. It's to do with the fleas being inactive in cold and dry conditions. And the last one here, you had to think of which disease has outwardly visible symptoms very similar to smallpox. And the answer is measles. So until the 10th century, smallpox and measles were considered the same disease. It's only after Al-Razi pointed out that they were different, were they being considered as different diseases. So these were the 20 answers. Let me explain how the finals are going to work. There are going to be 11 questions clockwise and 11 questions anti-clockwise with a brief fun written round in the middle. Everyone here, everyone in the finals, I think are familiar with how pounds works, but I'll explain it all the same. So the first question will be to Nitin, but before I allow Nitin to answer, I'm going to open it up to everybody else to pounce on that question if they think they know the complete answer for sure. So if it has multiple parts, you need to give me the answers to all the parts. You pounce by messaging me on Zoom chat. That's how you're going to pounce. So you will send your guess to me on Zoom chat, and you can send it until I say pounce is closed. I'll give around 30 seconds for you to digest the question before closing pounce. And before I say pounce is closed, if you either tell me that you're pouncing so that I can wait for you to type the answer out, or you pounce, I will be considering those answers. There is a negative associated with a wrong pounce, and it's a -10. So make sure to pounce only if you know the complete answer and you are confident enough that you know it, because there's a -10 associated with it. Once pounce is closed, we go back to Nitin and we will start taking guesses. No negatives when it is bouncing, and it's +10 for a complete correct answers and part points at my discretion. Everyone here with the format?
What are the points for a right bounce?
+10 and -10 on the bounce,
okay.
+10 and no negatives on the bounce.
Okay, just one clarification. The chat is not letting me pick you.
It should allow, can some of you just ping just me and see if it is working?
Udupa, you can just ping her. Then
I got pings from
talk to
multiple people. So Jayashree, it should be visible.
I've got Gayatri Manu, Sankal Singh and Vishaka Kumar.
You might need to scroll down.
You have to scroll, Jayashree. If you scroll down, you should see my name.
Ah, yes. Thank you. Okay.
All right. Just send me a test pounce to be sure.
I did, yes.
Perfect. Yes, I got your pounce. Yeah. Good. This is how you pounce. You just send me a message on Zoom chat. And just to me, please don't ping the other panelists. If you do that, everyone else is going to see your answers, and that's not a very wise thing to do in a quiz. All right. If everybody is ready, Nitin, this is your direct, but of course open to everyone else on the pounce. Let's go to the question. So according to Frank Snowden's book, Epidemics in Society, how was smallpox responsible for the African slave trade? So you need to give me a brief explanation here. Yeah, Arun TP, I see that you're pouncing. You can go ahead and pounce.
Yeah, I'm pouncing.
As is Jayashree. Yeah, go ahead and pounce. You don't have to announce. You just type in your answer. If you're still typing when I'm saying pounce is about to close and you haven't yet identified that you're going to pounce, then you can do so at that point in time. According to Frank Snowden's book, Epidemics and Society, how was the smallpox responsible for the African slave trade? All right. I've got pounces from Debashri, Arun TP, and Venkatesh Iyengar so far, and Jayashree as well, and Venki Srinivasan. I'll close pounce in the next 5 seconds. Remember, it's a -10 if it's a wrong answer, and of the people who have pounced, I've got 2 wrong answers so far. So be careful if you're pouncing, pounce only if you are sure. So pounce closes in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Pounce is closed. Nitin, it's your direct, so you can take a guess on the answer.
Is it something to do with the concept of variolation, where basically the African slaves were protected from smallpox because they were already variolated, and that's why they could go to other countries?
Okay, that's a nice guess. I will now move on to Debashri pounce, Venkatesh Iyengar pounce, Jayashree pounce. So I move on to Siddhant.
So something to do with the working population being affected by smallpox, and so they needed more labor.
Say more?
They needed more labor.
No, that I heard, but
as slaves.
To tell me a slightly more elaborate explanation is what I'm looking for.
Africans had a greater immunity to it, and so they were not as susceptible to smallpox.
As susceptible, they were not as susceptible to smallpox as, complete that sentence.
Compared to like say Europeans, like the working class.
Compared to the Europeans, all right. So I'll have to move on to Venkatesh, Srinivasan pounced, Arun pounced, so Nikhil Indla, what's your guess?
So basically, there were smallpox epidemics in the Americas in the South. So that decimated the availability, that decimated local labor. It wasn't available. So this created demand for the slaves to step in and fill the void.
Why was Africa chosen to fill in that demand?
Yeah. Why Africans?
I said African slave trade, right? So why did they get slaves from Africa? Why not say people from Ireland or somewhere like that?
I mean, whatever, they come from tropical areas, so they are already exposed to these diseases and they have a degree of immunity.
That's good enough. That gets you a full 10 points. I will give 5 points to Siddhant, who danced around the answer but didn't give me a completely satisfactory answer. So that's 10 points to Nikhil on the bounce. On the bounce, I got correct answers from Jayashri, Debashri, and Arun. So all of you get the plus 10. Unfortunately, both the Venkateshas gave me 2 different wrong answers, which means both of you start with a minus 10. All right, so that's the scores as of now. Second question will be a direct to Bertie because we follow the infinite bounce format, which means Bertie, this is your direct question. This is the explanation I was looking for. Good answer there from Nikhil, covered most of what I wanted. Bertie, this is your direct. Much like today's COVID-19 pandemic, back in the day, back in the early 2000s, coronavirus jumped from bats to other creatures in a wet market and eventually to humans, causing the SARS scare. However, the SARS epidemic, deadly as it was, killed only 774 people and did not spread too far and wide. In some ways, it was the deadliness of the virus that also helped stop it from being a full-blown pandemic. How? Nitin has said he will pounce.
How specific answer do you want?
Like I said, an explanation in a sentence should be fine. All right, I've got a pounce from Siddhant. So I'll wait for Nitin, Debashri, and Jayashri also to send me answers. Okay, I've got a pounce from Venkatesh Iyengar as well. Got Nitin's pounce. Nitin, do you want to just modify your answer or give me a... You're again in the vicinity. If that's your answer, I won't give you negatives, but I would like a slightly more accurate answer. Cool. Thanks. That, because your first part of the sentence was a little off, so that's fine. Your answer now is perfectly valid.
I hope by using my answer, it's in 2 sentences.
Yeah, this is Venkatesh Iyengar, is it? Yeah, I saw your answer. I've already awarded you points. No worries there. All right, pounce is now closed. I think everybody who wanted to pounce have had the chance to do so. Question is with Bertie. Bertie, go ahead and...
So yeah, the disease is, it acts really fast, and the symptoms also come really fast, and people die really fast. So that means they weren't traveling around and spreading the virus because they die soon. And that's why it didn't become a pandemic.
That's the perfect answer. Essentially, people die before they can go out and spread the disease. So there is no essentially period where you're asymptomatic and you're spreading the disease around. It acts so quickly that before you get a chance to spread it to others, you die. So that's 10 points to Bertie as well. On the pounce, I got the right answers from Nitin, from Venkatesh Iyengar, from Debashri, and from Siddhant. and all of you get 10 points. However, I'll have to give a negative to Thejaswi because she kind of gave me the exact converse of the answer. So that's a -10 to Thejaswi. Question now will be a direct to Nitin again because Bertie gave the right answer.
It's to whom? Sorry?
To Nitin. You're at seat 1. Pictured here is a deity named Ola Bibi, whose shrine in Shivpur near Kolkata in Howrah. It's frequented by both Hindus and Muslims. So if you look at the picture, you see both Hindu iconography as well as Islamic iconography. My question is simple, which is advantageous to a few of the Bengalis who have made it to the finals. What does Ola mean in Bengali? I'm assuming all the Bengalis will pounce, but I shall not make such assumptions. No one's pouncing. That's strange. I'll close pounce in 3, 2, and 1. Pounce is closed. Nitin, go ahead. What does Ola mean in Bengali?
Basically, she's the goddess of cholera.
That's good enough. Ola is essentially the Bengali word for cholera. Literally means intense flow, which, as we all know, is a prominent symptom of cholera. But yeah, cholera is good enough for points. So that's 10 points to Nitin. Ola Bibi essentially is the goddess responsible for cholera. So you need to please her if you get cholera. So both Hindus and Muslims go and make offerings at an Ola Bibi temple. There are a couple more in West Bengal, but this is the most famous one, probably in the most densely populated region and is therefore more famous. 10 points to you, Nitin, and the next direct goes to Thejaswi. Thejaswi, this is your direct. This is a nice one. Around 10 years ago, there was a chikungunya endemic in Karnataka. At the same time, there was a much hyped homeopathic pill that supposedly made people immune to the disease, which was quite popular. Narendra Nayak, a famous rationalist, also a biochemist by education, he studied data from a village where the endemic was active and found that a larger percentage of those who took the pills caught the disease than those who did not. Why was this? Nitin has indicated that he's going to pounce. Why did people who took the homeopathic pill that supposedly would make them immune catch the disease at a much higher rate than those who did not? All right, I've got Nitin's pounce. I'll close pounce in 3, 2, and 1. All right, pounce is closed. Thejaswi, what's your guess?
I'll go with something simple. So basically, the ones who took the pills did not change their behavior to take precautions from catching the disease.
That's all I needed. Yeah. So it's like the reverse of the Peltzman effect that we saw in the prelims. So people who had not taken the pills took more care to ensure that they weren't getting bitten by mosquitoes, which meant that they would not have stagnant water around. They would always be in mosquito nets even during the day. But those who took the pills, they're like, who cares? Like mosquitoes bite, I won't be getting chikungunya anyway. And they ended up getting chikungunya. So that's a good 10 points to Thejaswi as well as Nitin on the pound. So both of you got this right. Nitin even made a reference to...
Udupa, I had pounced before you had closed.
Oh, sorry. Bertie actually sent in a pounce before Nitin did. So Bertie also, let me read your answer. Yeah, perfect. Bertie also gets 10 points. Sorry about that, Bertie. I wasn't looking at the screen when you...
No problem.
You might be pouncing.
My pounce didn't get registered.
You want to pounce, just wave or just ping on chat saying pounce or something like that so that I'll wait for your pounce to come.
Will do.
My pounce didn't get registered. I think a call came in between. I was seeing on the phone. So okay, no problem.
That's okay. That's unfortunate, but we can't help that. Debashri got 10 points on the bounce, which means the next question is going to go to Venkatesh Iyengar. So here's your chance to get the 10 points you missed out on, Venkatesh. In 2019, the city of Montreal renamed Rue Amherst as Rue Atataken. Amherst was a very important person in the history of Quebec. He was the first governor of Quebec. So despite him being such a bigwig, why was the name of Lord Amherst removed from a prominent street in Montreal? And they renamed it after somebody called Atataken. Remember, this is a quiz on infectious diseases. So your answer should be involving an infectious disease in some form or the other. Why did a couple of years ago, city of Montreal rename an important street in the city? I got a pounce from Debashri. Anyone else pouncing? All right, I'll close pounce in 3, 2, and 1. Pounce is closed. Venkatesh, go ahead and make your guess.
Okay, I think it's because Atataken was a person who prevented smallpox from occurring to the tribals in that area and in Quebec, in the province of Quebec, and hence the name was renamed.
Nice guess, but not the correct answer. We move on to Jayashri.
I would say the opposite, that Amherst spread smallpox among the natives of the area. He brought in people from elsewhere and let them. Hang on a second.
Method. No, that's not the answer.
Can I continue?
No. You're on the wrong track, so I will stop you there. But good guess, good logical guess, but that's not the answer. Moving on to Siddhant.
No clue. Pass.
Okay, Siddhant passes to Venki.
Okay, random guess. I'll say Amherst, when he was governor of Quebec, was like, refused to kind of recognize that an epidemic disease was going on, etc. And, while he could have taken, as governor, he could have taken measures to control or curb the epidemic, possibly smallpox. He refused to do any of that and dismissed it away, which resulted in a lot of deaths, especially among the natives and the tribals. So they finally figured that, his name should be removed.
Nice logical guess again, but unfortunately not the correct answer. Arun?
Yeah, I'm just going on a slightly different track. Like the serum run of 1925, this specific native Canadian also did some serum run, and that is one of the reasons why.
Nice. No, not true. Nothing to do with the Literod thing that you're referring to. Next up in order, we have Nikhil.
Okay, so I think Lord Amherst was also Governor General of India, I think, and.
I'm just quickly trying to recall if there was an Amherst among our viceroys. Nikhil, your voice is
in
broken.
India.
Now I can hear you.
Yeah. So basically, he failed to contain all these epidemics in India when he was the Governor General of India. So he let people die.
Not the right answer. And Amherst was never a Governor General in India. So we will move on to Bertie.
I'm going to go on a different track here. Is Amherst a different name for some disease? Like it's a local name for smallpox or something, and they're like, that keeps us reminding us of the disease, so let's get rid of that.
No. Interesting track, but not the right answer. Nitin?
Did he do something like biological warfare at that time? Like how anthrax was sent in letters? Maybe he sent smallpox through some, I don't know, some things to the Native Americans, and it spread like wildfire among them.
I'll give it to you. So Amherst's primary claim...
This is the blankets one. Oh, okay.
He's the one who conquered Quebec for Britain. He is the one who took it from the various native tribes that were there. And one of the ways he supposedly did it was that he sent peace offerings of blankets to all the Native Americans there, but those blankets were laden with smallpox. So essentially that's biological warfare, like you said. And once people started reading more and more about that, they realized there's no point in naming a street after Amherst. So it's renamed after one of the chiefs of the local tribes. Perfect answer by Debashri on the bounce. So 10 points to Debashri, and Nitin gets 10 points on the bounce. Question will now go to Debashri. All right. One of my favorite questions in the quiz. How did the man-eating leopard of Rudraprayag, famously documented by Jim Corbett, he also killed it, and responsible for nearly 200 human kills, first develop a taste for human flesh? You can see Bertie typing furiously, so I presume he's bouncing.
How specific do you want? Or general is okay?
No, it's a reasonably specific answer. Rudraprayag there is definitely a clue. All right, I got a bounce from Siddhant, and Bertie and Nitin have indicated their bounce, so I'll wait for their bounces.
Bounce, but yeah.
All right, okay, I've got Venki's bounce as well. I'm going to close bounce in 3, 2, and 1. I've got a bounce from Venkatesh Iyengar as well as Arun TP. Let me quickly read all the bounces before I go to Debashri. Just a second. All right. Lots of interesting answers, some correct, some not correct. Let me quickly distribute the points before I open it up to Debashri. All right, Debashri, all yours.
Sorry, I'm mute. So my guess is that usually corpses would be burnt, obviously, but due to disease, they were, kept aside and probably buried or, well, at least discarded without burning, which is how the leopard started eating corpses. And
all right, that's roughly the same answer as Bertie gave me, but that's not enough for me. I will move on to who is next in line. Venkatesh Iyengar, bounce. Jayashree. Jayashree, you're on mute.
Yeah, okay. So there was a pilgrimage and there was bad weather and everybody died and the bodies were there on the side of a particular lake, and the leopard started eating them and found a taste for human flesh.
Nice guess, but that's not what I'm looking for either. Moving on to Siddhant.
I had bounced.
Good bounce. Sorry about that. I gave you points as well. Who's next? Venki pounced, Arun pounced, Nikhil.
Yeah, so basically it has to do with cremation. Sometimes the bodies don't burn completely and they are disposed of and they are, immersed in the Ganga. So these half-eaten, half-cooked bodies would, float down, and sometimes they would land up on the banks of the river in the forest. And then the leopard happened to stumble onto it, tried it, and it liked it and developed this.
Okay, perfect answer and a nice morbid narration as well. Yeah, you got all the. So pretty much similar to what's happening now. A lot of bodies not even burnt, half burnt, because they can't afford enough firewood for the multiple funerals that they need to do. They were just left floating in the river Ganga, and the leopard, whose territory it was, had a feast of these bodies, loved it. And once the pandemic ended and stopped getting its supply, decided to go and hunt down humans instead. So 10 points to you. 10 points to Siddhant, Arun, and Venki as well. But a minus 10 to Venkatesh Iyengar. Bertie, I'll have to give you a minus 10 because the key bit of the story was missing from your answer. And who else bounced? Nitin, that will be a minus 10 to you as well. All right, next question. This is a direct to Bertie. Avio Interiors, who are apparently the market leaders when it comes to aeroplane seats. That's one of the facts that I learned while researching for this quiz. They've come up with the seat design that you see here that they believe will become popular and necessary in the post-COVID world. By what name do they call these seats? I'm looking for one appropriate proper noun in your answer. Look at how the seats are arranged. Come up with an appropriate name for this.
You want a proper noun, you said?
Yes, there is a proper noun, an appropriate proper noun in the answer, and you can take a good guess by looking at how the arrangement is. No bounces yet. Close bounce in 3, 2, and 1. Bounce is close. Bertie, take a guess.
Actually, it's two faces facing each side. So this is Janus.
That's the perfect answer. You essentially face in two directions. And therefore, it's called a Janus seat. So that's 10 points to Bertie. Well done. You were the only one who got points on this. So good on you. Question now direct to Nitin. Nitin, The Archers is the longest running serial on BBC Radio. And they continued moving the story forward even when a total lockdown was imposed in UK last year. To enable this, sorry about the grammar mistake there, what change did they do to the format of the serial so that they could continue broadcasting it? So I'm looking for a change in the narrative format, so to say, which would enable them to continue broadcasting the serial. Don't see anybody bouncing or expressing an interest. So I'll close bounce in 3, 2, and 1. Bounce is closed. Nitin, take a guess.
Yeah, so did they make it something like in a post-apocalyptic world where people have died due to COVID and there was no one in the roads or something like that?
No, nothing so morbid. Like I said, it's a change to the narrative format, so to say. So we move on to Thejaswi.
Did they do it in terms of like telephone calls, so telephone conversations?
Nice, like a modern day version of an epistolary
exactly.
novel. No, good guess, but not the right answer. We move on to Venkatesh Iyengar.
Okay, so they made them to record the parts of the thing at their own homes, and then they sort of merged it and broadcasted it later. So monologues were brought together and made into dialogues.
Perfect answer. So essentially, all dialogues and conversations were eliminated. It was essentially a string of monologues. So the story progress happened through a series of monologues, which, like Venkatesh said, the actors would record their bits and send it in, and the editor would assemble it in the right order and then put it up for broadcast. Good logical answer there by Venkatesh. I'm assuming you're not an Archers fan and you made a logical guess on this. That's 10 points to you. Next question is going to go to Thejaswi. Thejaswi, your direct coming up. In April 1917, USA decided to enter World War I and started mobilizing war efforts. However, between September 1917 and March 1918, more than 30,000 American troops were hospitalized with pneumonia, nearly all as a result of measles, and some 5,700 died. What had caused this outbreak? Need a brief explanation as to what caused this outbreak of measles-led pneumonia? Don't see anyone interested in pouncing. I will close pounce and take a guess from Jayashree.
They were all congested together at a training camp brought by ship. So they infected each other.
Essentially, congestion is your guess. We'll move on to Siddhant.
Maybe like due to the war efforts, more like industries were manufacturing like weaponry and like things which could have prevented this were not given importance.
No, okay, I'll stop you there. You're
off
track. Moving on to Venki.
I don't know. I'll say trench warfare. So therefore, like kind of exposure to the elements and to stagnant water and various other things in like
nothing to do with trench warfare. Moving on to Arun TP.
I just had a similar guess. So necessary medication that needed to be made available for this was not available because of war effort increase.
No, then I would have not told Siddhant that he was way off track. So clearly, that's not the angle you need to go down. Nikhil.
Going to take a bit of a wild guess here. It has something to do with their personal hygiene, their beards or something. They were not shaving them.
Nothing to do with personal hygiene, but good guess. I mean, personal hygiene usually falls off the wayside during wartime. Bertie.
Is this because of them fraternizing with the locals in wherever they were and got the measles from them?
No, nothing. Is fraternizing a euphemism for something? But
I will not take it any further, but you could say that.
All right. Nitin, what's your guess?
Something about recruitment of people from rural areas who probably did not have the herd immunity, and hence they decided to spread it.
And that will actually get you 10 points. Essentially, what happened is that in war camps, people from different immunological backgrounds, essentially people from both cities and people from villages, were put into the same densely populated camps. People from cities had greater immunity to measles because they were exposed at a younger age to it and so on. People from villages didn't, and they all caught it and then got pneumonia from that. Good answer there, Nitin. So that will give you 10 points. Nobody pounced on this, so no damage or positives there. Next question to Thejaswi. Thejaswi, on the left is an illustration of a symptom of a disease. The symptom is named for the flower you see on the right. So two parts. What's the name for the symptom, which is named after the flower? And which disease are we talking about? As you can see, the symptom looks pretty much the same color as the flower, which is how it gets its name.
Do you want both the answers in the pounds?
Yes, I want both the answers in the pounds. Which disease and what's the symptom called in medical parlance? It has a two-word name. The first word is the name of the flower. Okay, Nitin says he's going to pounce. All right, I've got Nitin's pounce. Close pounce in 3, 2, and 1. Pounce is closed. Thejaswi? Thejaswi, you're on mute.
Yes, yeah. Okay, even though this is totally the wrong color, I'll go with scarlet fever.
No, it's clearly not scarlet. So, no, we move on to Ventesh.
2 words.
Ventesh Engar.
Okay, I'll go with cyanosis. The symptom is cyanosis. The flower may be called cyanosis. I'm not sure if there's a cyanosis flower, but the symptom is cyanosis, and it's caused because of lack of oxygen, the blue baby and blueness that occurs because of lack of oxygen in the plant.
Sorry, I didn't catch the last bit of your guess. I need the name of the symptom for which you said cyanosis.
Cyanosis is the name of the symptom. It occurs because of lack of oxygen in the blood.
I don't need why it's caused and so on. It's a symptom of which disease?
Which disease? Oh, there are many diseases. One of the most common diseases, of course, any lung pathology which causes inability to breathe, pneumonias and such like.
Got it. Yeah, cyanosis is a fairly common symptom, but no, there is no flower called cyanosis. So we will move on to Thejaswi.
Again, I don't know if the color is right, but there's a disease called porphyria, which is also a kind of anemia, and that's named after a flower.
This is not porphyria, but good logical guess based on the color that you see there. Porphyria is not a flower. Porphyria is essentially a mollusk, so flower wouldn't come into the picture. Sorry, porphyr is a mollusk. Moving on to Siddhant.
No, pass.
Siddhant passes. Venki?
No clue, random guess. Periwinkle skin and TB.
Slightly different shade than periwinkle, so it's not periwinkle. Arun?
Passing.
Arun passes to Nikhil.
Okay, again, another wild guess. So this is that basically it reflects a lack. This is called wisteria. Basically, there isn't enough oxygen in the blood. It's something associated with blue bloods, European royalty. This is called wisteria disease. Sorry, wisteria. The symptom is wisteria.
I'll put you out of your misery. No.
Is this something called lilac skin, and that's a lilac?
It's not a lilac. So I move on to Nitin pounced. He went with rose and rosacea. That's clearly not a rose. So Nitin gets a -10. And we started with Thejaswi. This is a form of cyanosis. It's not the normal cyanosis that you see in most conditions of bronchitis or oxygen being denied to parts of the human body. This is something called as heliotrope cyanosis, which has a more distinct shade of purple to it, and that's the heliotrope flower. It was a primary symptom of the Spanish flu. This is how you knew that the kind of pneumonia that you had was from Spanish flu and not any other form of pneumonia, because most other forms of pneumonia, the cyanosis, you see a shade of blue rather than this very distinct shade of purple. I will give Venkatesh 2 points because he at least said it's some kind of cyanosis. So I'll give him 2 points. Yes, dermatomyositis also has something called as heliotrope rash, but that's not a form of cyanosis. That's essentially a kind of skin reaction that is caused. But here I needed Spanish flu. Question goes to, it was Thejaswi's question. So the next question is going to go to Venkatesh. Venkatesh, this will be your direct. All right. This educated looking person is Charles Nicole, who was awarded a Nobel Prize in medicine for his discovery that lice were the transmitters of the epidemic typhus. The key to him making this discovery was something he observed about patients being admitted with typhus at the Sadiki hospital in Tunis. He was stationed in Tunis at the time that he made his discovery. So what was this observation that he made, which eventually led him to proving that lice were the transmitters of typhus? Nikhil is going to pounce.
No, I'm not pouncing.
No, you're not going to pounce. Oh, sorry, not Nikhil. Nitin is going to pounce. Sorry, I misread Nitin as Nikhil. Thejaswi has pounced. And I've seen Nitin's guess. All right, so a close pounce in 3, 2, 1. Pounce is closed. Venkatesh, go ahead and take a guess.
Yeah. So I think I know this. I think I know this one. So what happened was that lice, lousy people, basically, they had a lot of lice on their bodies and they were suspected this disease. But when they were admitted to hospital, they were made to take a bath, shave, and wear fresh clothes and things like that. And then they would not transmit the disease further to others, whereas those who did not follow the protocol continue to transmit the disease. So that's how he got the clue that the lice on the body was causing the disease.
perfect answer. I don't have anything to add. So essentially them getting, getting bathed and change of clothes once they get admitted, let them being not spreading the disease anymore. So that's 10 points to Nitin as well on the pounds, who gave me the same answer. But unfortunately, Thejaswi and Arun both went on slightly different angles. And therefore, both of them will get -10. Both interesting guesses, but unfortunately not right. That's the end of the clockwise round. We're done with 11 questions. So before we go to a short written round, we'll quickly read out the scores. Nitin, you're on 40 right now and leading. You've had a nice up and down roller coaster ride, but you still managed to come out on top. Thejaswi is not too far behind. She's on 30. Venkatesh is on 12 right now. Again, lots of ups and downs. Jayashree is on 0. She had one 10 and one -10 and kind of stays there. Siddhant is on 25, so in podium position. Venki right now is on 20, again, not too far. Arun TP is on 10. Nikhil, you're on 20, and Bertie is on 20 as well. So it's all closely packed. Anybody can win this quiz. It's just a 10-point lead that Nitin has over Thejaswi. So mask up is a simple round. You will see 5 interesting designs of face masks that have come out post-COVID. Each one of them makes a reference to something. You just need to tell me what's the reference in each of the cases. So I'll tell you what I'm looking for in each of the visuals. So you'll just see 5 visuals, and you need to, once you've seen all 5, send it to me in writing with all 5 of them in a single line, in a single guess. So you can keep typing and press send only after you've typed all 5. So don't send it to me individually, because then it will be a nightmare for me to figure out who got what. So send in all your answers together. Here's the first one. Here I'm looking for the name of a movie that this is making a reference to.
Wear Pink. We Wear Pink movie.
So I need the name of a movie. It says on Wednesdays we wear pink. All right. This is the second mask. Again, I need the name of a movie. Like I said, these are all fairly simple.
The movie or that kid, Home Alone.
Bertie, don't say.
Sorry, Udupa, it went by mistake.
Yeah. Thejaswi, same applies to you as well. Please don't send me individual guesses.
Realize how to do it. Yeah.
Somebody has to go for it.
Hey, yeah, somebody has to go on mute, because you can clearly hear some discussions, answers, whatever.
Please, all panelists, keep yourself muted and make sure you're the only person answering. Let's not have discussions here, unless it's a monologue to yourself that you're voicing out loud. Bertie and Thejaswi, I'm going to ignore your individual Tundu guesses. So to
yes,
say.
please. Thank you. Yes, please.
All of them and send it to me. The next one. Both these face masks make a reference to the same movie. Which movie? Both these face masks make a reference to a movie. Which one? This one's not about any reference to a movie, but this has a particular practical function why it's been designed in this manner. So just tell me, for what purpose have they designed this kind of a mask? Fairly specific answer that I'm looking for. For what purpose have they designed this kind of a mask? That's number 4. Number 5, again, I need the name of a movie. It says this is the end, and you see some helicopters flying against the sunset. All right, I've started getting answers. Let me quickly start reading them. So I've got
only 5?
Only 5, yes. No negatives, so please take 5 guesses. 5 points for every right answer. No bonuses or any such thing. Right, Venki also pointed out that his score had a mistake and he's taken a -10 for himself. Appreciate the honesty, Venki. I think I got my score wrong. Oh yeah, it was, I completely misread the -10 there. Sorry about that.
So +10 for honesty.
It's okay. No +10 for honesty, just a appreciation message. And I think, Nitin, have you sent in your answers? I think you're the only one who hasn't sent in answers yet.
I sent in.
I got it. All right. Okay, I've got everyone's answers. Everybody got a minimum of 3 right, and there's one person who got all 5 right. And the person who got all 5 right was Nikhil. Well done, Nikhil. Oh, sorry, not Nikhil, Arun. Arun got all 5 right. Nikhil, you got 3 on 5, right? Sorry about getting your hopes up for a bit. So scores right now, Nitin got 3 right. Venki got 4 right. Venkatesh got 3 right. Jayashree got 4 right. Debashri got 4 right. Arun, like I said, got all 5 right. Well done, Arun. Siddhant got 4 right. Nikhil got 3 right. And Bertie got 4 right. Like I said, everybody got 3 or 4 right. And Arun TP took a full house on this and got all 5 right. So these are the answers. The first one was Mean Girls. Then we had Home Alone, Silence of the Lambs, To Allow Deaf People to Lip Read, and Apocalypse Now. These were the 5 answers that I was looking for. Well done, all of you. You made your scores look healthier. Now we do the last 11 questions of the quiz, which essentially has the same rules as the clockwise, but we just go in an anti-clockwise format. So we start, oh, I'm on mute, is it? I'm not on mute. Everybody can hear me? I think Siddharth.
No, clearly, we can hear you.
That's clear.
The problem is with your speakers. All right, so we start with Bertie and go in the other direction for the anti-clockwise 11. We're doing good on time, yes. All right, Philadelphia was the worst hit by Spanish flu among all US cities, much like how election rallies in West Bengal acted as super spreader events for the second wave of COVID there. One of the main causes for Philadelphia being so badly affected was a rally organized by the city's mayor, which had a huge turnout and massive overcrowding happened. What was the rally for?
Is there a particular timeline for this?
You know when the Spanish flu happened? This was essentially the early days of the Spanish flu. Got an answer from Jayashree and I've got an indication from Nitin that he wants to pounce.
Arun also.
All right. Go ahead and type in your answers.
Yeah, lots of pounds.
Okay. Lots of interesting guesses. Let me see who all have pounced so far. Jayashree, Nitin, Siddhant, Arun, and Venkatesh. Anyone else pouncing? And Debashri as well. I'll close pounce in 3.
Udupa, I also pounced. Venki here.
Oh yeah, I saw your pounce as well. All right. I'll close pounce. So Bertie, you did not pounce, so you can go ahead and take a guess.
Okay. Is this that? Okay. this has got to do with that freedom bell, the city was gifted that freedom bell or liberty bell. And during that time, people just came to see the bell and thereby it spread.
Nice guess. No, that's not the right answer. Nikhil did not pound. So Nikhil, you can take a guess.
I would say this is, a rally organized for the returning American soldiers from the First World War. A celebratory rally where they can confetti.
That was the guess that a lot of people who pounced took. Unfortunately, that was the wrong answer. So everybody who pounced get a -10. Everybody else, I think, has pounced. Only Bertie and Nikhil had not pounced. And nobody got the right answer. This was actually before World War I had ended. And this was actually a rally to encourage people to buy war bonds so that they could raise funds for the American war effort. So war bonds were called as liberty loans back then. That's the American tendency. You slap the word liberty in front of everything, but they were essentially war bonds. Unfortunate for everybody who pounced, you all went on peer pressure. You all went on end of World War I angles, but no, this had to do with raising funds for World War I. So -10 for 7 people. Question direct to Nikhil. Nikhil, this is your direct. Long question, but
is there some echo happening?
No, I hear myself very clearly. All right, let me read this question out. When the first outbreak happened, it was called the Navajo virus by the press since it was in a Navajo reservation. The name was rightfully deemed pejorative and was soon dropped. When the virus was isolated, scientists, as per convention, called it the Muerte Canyon virus based on the place of discovery. The Navajo Nation objected since the Muerte Canyon is of historical significance to them. Since the Four Corners point was not too far away, scientists decided to name it to the Four Corners virus, but this time faced objections from the local authorities who feared that it would affect the tourism business there. What name did the frustrated scientists finally give the virus? What does the name literally mean when translated from Spanish to English? I've got a pounce from Nitin. So Navajo was dropped, Muerte Canyon was dropped, Four Corners was dropped. What name did the frustrated scientists finally give it? It's a Spanish name, so I'm looking for the Spanish name because that's what the virus is known by even to this day. And what does the Spanish name literally mean? I don't see anybody else looking interested in pouncing. So I'll close the pounce in 3, 2, 1. Pounce is closed. Nikhil, go ahead and take a guess.
So for part 2, I will say they basically called it the Spanish word for no-name virus. And so that is called the knee
what?
Knee, yeah, one second.
Not enough Spanish classes on Duolingo. I'll pass you on to Siddhant. Sorry, not Siddhant, to Arun.
Okay. Nebula virus.
Got it. No, good try though. Moving on to Arun.
I'm just going with the same thing. So, rubella and no name virus. So,
okay, rubella and no name. Rubella does not mean no name though. It means little red to indicate the little red spots. Moving on to Venki.
Yeah, I mean, say when the name when translated meant anonymous, and I don't know the Spanish word.
Okay, moving on to Siddhant. Siddhant, can't hear you.
Audible now?
Yep.
Yeah, pass.
All right. Next up is Thejaswi.
They said hasta la vista. Bye-bye.
Not hasta la vista. Venkatesh. Venkatesh, do you have a guess? I don't see Venkatesh in the list of panelists. I think he's temporarily dropped off. All right, we'll move on to Debashri.
Yeah, I'll go with slightly more Spanish and say no nombre virus and no name.
Nombre, meaning no name. Bertie.
Okay, so I'm going to go for ni vayo, like na vaho, which means no virus.
Oh, I'll give 5 points to Nikhil, who hit upon the no name concept. Yes, it is Spanish for no name. Debashri came very close when she said no nombre, but Spanish for no is not no, it is san. So it's san nombre, which essentially means no name. So 5 points to Nikhil, no points to Debashri for identifying the Spanish word for name is nombre. Question now direct to Arun. Depending on which species of the microbe is responsible for the infection, this disease can be either quotidian, malignant tertian, benign tertian, or quartan. 2 parts, which disease, and what do the words quotidian, tertian, and quartan refer to? Oh, by the way, on the previous question, Nitin got a -5. He gave me a wrong answer. So, sorry, -10, because he gave me a wrong answer. He's pounced on this one. Nitin, there are 2 parts. I need the disease as well as what the words quotidian, tertian, and quartan refer to.
Oh, wait, on pounds, you need all 3. Meaning?
I mean, give me a generic idea of what those things mean. That's fine. And I definitely need the disease. Nitin, you need to tell me what. All right, good. I've got Nitin's complete answer now. Bertie and Jayashree, you're also pouncing. Okay, I've got Jayashree's answer.
Yeah, I'm just typing.
All right, I'll wait for Bertie's answer and I'll close pounce in 3, 2, and 1. Pounce is closed. And all right, I've got Bertie's answer as well. So, Arun, go ahead and take your guess.
I don't have a guess on the disease. I'm guessing the quotidian, tertian, quartan refer to the stages of the this disease hits you in stages. So this is like the specific stages of intensity.
No, that's not the right answer. Moving on to Venki.
No idea. I'll just guess saying the quotidian, tertian, quartan refers to the way in which you get infected. You know, what is the what's the way or the environment in which you get infected? And I will say the disease is I don't know, measles.
Moving on to Siddhant.
No idea about the disease, but the word so tertian, I think in this context might refer to third, maybe like third point of contact. Quartan might be fourth point of contact. So going by that trend, quotidian might be second.
Nice, interesting guess, but no. We move on to Jayashree, who pounced. Venkatesh, are you back? Let me quickly check if he's back. No, Venkatesh is not back. Debashri, go ahead and take your guess.
I guess that the disease is malaria, and quotidian, etc. This refers to how often your fever comes up. So if its fever is every other day or every third day, or the
Perfect
fever.
Answer. Yeah. Perfect answer. That is exactly right. There are different species of Plasmodium that cause malaria. So for example, if it's falciparum causing it, you get tertian fevers, which is the fever spikes once in every 3 days, and so on. So based on which subspecies actually infects you, which species infects you, the frequency of the fevers change. All 3 people who pounced got it perfectly right. So that's +10 to Nitin, Jayashree, and Bertie. Good answers, all of you. And 10 points, obviously, to Debashri on the pounds. I think Venkatesh is back now. You missed 2 questions, Venkatesh. I think you had connectivity problems. All right. Question now direct to Venkatesh. You decided to join us back at the right time. In early January 2020, Dr. Aifen and other doctors at the Wuhan Central Hospital were reprimanded by the Chinese authorities they were exchanging information with other doctors in the country about the novel coronavirus that they had encountered. The authorities thought that this, not his, would lead to a situation of panic and wanted all information about the new disease to be contained. What, in typical Chinese communist re-education style, was the punishment meted out to these doctors? So essentially, you need to tell me what punishment was given to these doctors.
Achha, hang on, Debashri answered the last question, so shouldn't it go to the person after?
Yeah, it should go to Nitin, right?
It should go to Nitin. Oh, I'm sorry. I went the other direction. So Venkatesh, sorry, this is not your direct. This is Nitin's direct.
Cool, no problem. Yeah.
So what was the punishment given to these Chinese doctors who were essentially exchanging information about something new that they had seen? Jayashree is bouncing. It's a very kind of punishment you would expect the Chinese communist authorities to give. All right, that's good enough, Jayashree. I will take that answer. Anybody else pouncing? Close pounce in 3, 2, and 1. Pounce is closed. So Nitin, what's your guess?
I'm going to guess that maybe their social media accounts and all their contacts, emails, everything was deleted and they were kept in communicando.
Nice evil guess. I hope you never come to power and be able to do these things, but not the right answer, but good guess though. Bertie?
They were all sent to North Korea.
No, they were not sent to North Korea. Nikhil?
Yeah, so they were forced to, issue a public apology on TV that, I'm sorry for spreading panic about the virus.
I'll give it to you. It's not just a public apology. What they had to do was essentially write self-critical essays about the dangers of spreading rumors or misinformation. So not really an apology, but more like you have to write an essay on why spreading rumors is dangerous. But you were in the vicinity, so I'll give you 10 points and not be too pedantic or Chinese communist about this. That's 10 points to you, Nikhil, and 10 points on the pounds to Jayashree as well. And question now goes to, let's go. Arun, this is your direct now. All right, Girolamo Fracastaro, who lived in the 16th century, proposed that seeds, or seminaria as he called them, that arose spontaneously in a person, earth, or water were the cause of smallpox. The disease was transmitted from one person to another by the transfer of these seeds. To explain the acquired immunity to smallpox, essentially once a person gets smallpox, he never gets smallpox again, he posited that all humans were contaminated by menstrual blood during birth. When seeds emerged in a person, it caused this contaminant to putrefy or decay. After recovery, one could not be afflicted by smallpox because the putrefied menstrual blood was expelled by the smallpox pustules. How did Girolamo Mercurial, a few decades later, logically debunk this? Essentially, the second part about the immunity, that is what he debunked. He gave two explanations for why Fracastaro's theory is definitely wrong. You can give me either of the explanation and you will get your points. I don't see anyone bouncing. I'll close pounds in 3, 2, and 1. Pounds is closed. Arun, this is your direct. Go ahead and take a guess. Give me either of the explanations that Mercurial gave. Essentially for the second part of Fracastaro's explanation about how people who got smallpox would never get infected by smallpox again.
So I'm going to guess before he was the first person who discovered that cow hands or cow mates would not get smallpox.
No, not that angle. So we will move on to Pinky. This whole menstrual blood theory, how did Mercurial logically disprove?
Something to do with he showed how prevalence or otherwise of smallpox was different among babies who were born of natural birth versus C-sections, that kind of stuff.
Yes, interesting guess, but no. Siddhant?
I was going to go with the same. No.
All right, no, that's not the right answer. So we'll move on to Jayashree.
Also on the same line, so pass.
Okay, Venkatesh.
Okay, I'll just make a guess. It's my turn, right?
Yeah, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Okay. So I think what he did was he put a person who had never been a virgin, a sort of thing, who never had menstruated at all. Like, that person getting the disease of smallpox or something like that. And so that he tried to prove it that way.
Nice logical guess, but Fracassero's point is that this person also would have been infected by menstrual blood from her mother. So therefore, it doesn't really debunk his theory. Moving on to Thejaswi.
Did he take the pustule, whatever was expelled from the pustule, and put it on somebody else, and that person got this thing, smallpox, which they shouldn't have because this was putrefied
Nice blood. Yes, but no. Nitin?
No, pass.
Bertie?
Did he prove it with some animal of some sort? Showing that if it can pass to animals, and which has got nothing to do with menstrual, so it won't work here.
Okay, you should have probably thought that through a bit. Nikhil?
Every person would be, who in those days, every person who went, during childbirth, everyone was actually exposed to menstrual blood. So no one should have, everyone should have.
Got it. No, see, it also, Fracassero's theory also involves seeds. So it's essentially a combination of seeds plus menstrual blood is what he said. So no. Arun, that was your direct, right? Oh no, it was Venki's direct or Arun's?
No, it was Arun's direct.
So no, nobody gets points on this one. Bertie was on the right track, but going in the wrong direction. He essentially said that, hey, look, all mammals menstruate, but why is it that just humans and a couple of species of primates get this disease? And so that was one of the things he showed, that if menstrual blood was the cause, this same thing should have happened with every mammal. And also talked about how the indigenous Americans had no smallpox until the Europeans arrived. I mean, it isn't like indigenous Americans were not menstruating. They were menstruating too. How come they never got it? So that's how we dismissed the idea of menstrual blood. No points to anyone. Question now direct to Venki. Okay, one more question from Snowden's book, Epidemics and Society. Since World War II, we have lived in an age of ever-increasing numbers of emerging diseases. Already in 2008, researchers identified 335 human diseases that had emerged between 1960 and 2004, most of them of animal origin. Their names now run the gamut from A to Z. Essentially, name 2 diseases, which he said, which he gave as examples of the disease names now running the gamut from A to Z. So if you're pouncing, I need the names of 2 diseases. All right, I got a pounce from Nitin. Anybody else pouncing? Not a close pounce in 3, 2, and 1. Pounce is closed. I only got Nitin's pounce. Venki, go ahead and take your guess.
I'll say the Z is Zika.
Okay.
And the A is
what's the A? No infectious diseases from A coming to your mind. All right, we'll move on to Siddhant.
So A would be amoebic something, say amoebic flu, amoeba flu, and Z is Zika.
Okay, moving on to Jayashree.
Adenovirus.
Okay, moving on to Venkatesh.
Okay, anthrax to Zika.
No, moving on to Devashri.
That's all. Yeah, that's all my guesses gone. So, amoebic dysentery.
Amoebic dysentery, anthrax, and all are from well before 1960, so definitely not the right answer. Nitin Pounce, Bertie. Was that a pass from you, Bertie?
Yeah, just pass. Yeah.
Okay. Nikhil?
Avian virus. Sorry, I had nothing. Avian virus.
And what's the other part?
Zika.
Fine, I'll give it to you. Avian flu to Zika. Avian flu is like a more official something name of bird flu. But yeah, avian flu to Zika is what he said. So that's 10 points to you, Nikhil, and 5 points to Venki, who got Zika first. And on the pounds, 10 points to Nitin. Well done, Nitin. You got both right pretty much instantaneously. Good show. Question now direct to Arun. Two-part question. This object is on display at the Science Museum in London. What is this object that looked quite different from its modern day version? Who did this specific object belong to? All right. Jayashree, can you also give me a name for the device? Nitin, same request from you as well, for you as well. Essentially, what is?
Sorry, I was on a call in between. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't.
No, what is that device called? Like I say, it's very different from its modern day version. Okay. Got pounces from Jayashree and Nitin. I'll close the pounds. And whose direct was it? Arun. Arun, go for it.
I'm going to guess. This is like a variola knife. They used to take pus out of pustules and it belonged to Edward Jenner.
Okay, moving on to Venki.
Edward Jenner is what I'll guess as well. For the who, for the what, I will say surgeon scalpel.
Scalpel, okay. Moving on to Siddhant.
Also going to guess a surgical knife, but doesn't look like it.
Okay. I'll move on to Jayashree Pounce, so Venkatesh.
Okay, so this is the knife which Edward Jenner used to take out the cowpox virus and insert it onto people.
Right. And what was such a device called?
It was called a tine, T-I-N-E, tine.
Not a tine. Moving on to Devashri.
Edward Jenner, and I'll go with syringe.
Not a syringe. Nitin Pounce, Bertie.
Edward Jenner and something like a spigot.
Not a spigot. Nikhil.
Edward Jenner for part 2. Say inoculator.
Not an inoculator. Nitin was the only one who got both parts right on the pounds. The clue there was that this object still exists, but looks very different in its modern day avatar. This was what lancets used to look like back in the day. So this is Edward Jenner's lancet. So that's 10 points to Nitin. Jayashree unfortunately gets a -10 because she got the name of the device wrong. She called it a vaccinator. It's just a lancet used to poke holes in various parts of the body. And 5 points to Arun got Jenner first. So yeah, 5 points to Arun. Right. Next question. The miasmatic. Okay, this is who's direct. This is Venki's direct. The miasmatic theory was the commonly accepted explanation for bubonic plague and the fact that. So this was obviously well before Yersinia pestis was discovered and all. Most commonly accepted explanation was the miasmatic theory. And the fact that plague outbreaks were preceded by similar outbreaks in rats was seen as proof for this whole miasmatic explanation. So you need to explain how people back in the day rationalized that the fact that there are outbreaks of the disease in rats before there's an outbreak in humans as proof for the miasmatic theory of how bubonic plague comes about. You need like a sentence or two of explanation. Think like an intellectual from the medieval age and you can work this out. It's really logical. In their limited worldview, it made perfect sense. Nitin, read the question carefully again. How is the fact that it's preceded by rats getting it seen as a valid explanation for the miasmatic theory? I'll give you one chance to modify your answer, Nitin, if you want to. All right, I've got an answer from Thejaswi. Again, Venkatesh, can you modify your answer a bit? Okay, Nitin has kind of given me more stuff on those lines. Venkatesh, I'll also offer you the same chance that I offered. All right, yeah. Venkatesh's explanation is what I wanted. I'll close pounds in 3, 2, and 1. Pounds is closed. Whose direct was this? Venki, your direct.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Go for it.
I mean, rats at that time were possibly the only creatures that doctors, physicians, people like that. How do I say this? They understood the kind of reactions and sensibilities only of creatures like rats, because those were the only ones available to kind of study and so on. And so
rats were the only model creatures, and therefore, moving on to Siddhant.
So, like rats lived in the sewers, so they were exposed to bad air before humans. And so this outbreak happened in rats before it came to humans.
You're saying essentially it starts from the sewers and then comes to humans. That's essentially the same answer that Nitin gave me as well. That's not what I'm looking for. So I will move on to Jayashree.
Basically, miasma was something that spread through the air. So they saw the rats dying and they thought that this whole cloud of plague came to you from the atmosphere.
Okay.
First rats and then humans. And they also saw a cloud of fleas around the rats. So they thought that had something to do with the bad elements.
Got it. Moving on to Venkatesh. Oh, sorry, Venkatesh pounced. Thejaswi pounced as well. Nitin pounced as well. So Bertie.
So the rats all lived in mostly the lower income group areas like slums and all, and that's where the people also first got it. So people thought, okay, maybe it's the same thing because it's in the same geographical area.
Okay, no. Moving on to Nikhil.
Miasma is basically bad air. It references that it is airborne, and so rats. Uh, so basically, they saw that rats.
Sorry, Nikhil, your voice broke up. It's going to hear out what you said. Nikhil, at this point, you're sounding like an avant-garde electronic music track.
And all these places where the I'm sorry,
should I put it in the chat? That might be more useful because at least 80% of your words I couldn't parse.
Udupa, how many questions to go?
I think a couple more questions.
I've sent you the answer.
All right, got it. That's roughly similar to some of the answers I've got so far. Arun?
One of the visible indicators was that rats were coming out of sewers and dying of suffocation, and because of this, they felt that it's airborne. And
got it. Moving on to, no, it was Venki's direct, right?
Yeah.
All right. What I'll do is I'll just read out Debashri's answer because in the most succinct manner, she has given me the right answer. So according to the miasmatic theory, miasma rises from the ground and spreads through the air. So rats which were closer to the ground would be affected before humans would be affected. That is the correct answer. So that's how the miasmatic theory is. So essentially there will be impurities in the soil and then it rises up through the air. And the smaller creatures like rats would get it first because they're closer to the ground, which is the answer Venkatesh Iyengar also gave me. So both Debashri and Venkatesh get 10 points apiece. Unfortunately, Nitin, I'll have to give you a -10. It had nothing to do with the sewers being infected. Even rats overground also were dying. Question now, therefore, goes to, nobody cracked this on the bounce. So Siddhant, this will be your direct. The number of days in Lent, the number of days that Christ spent with his disciples after resurrection, the number of days of Christ's temptation, the number of days that Moses spent on Mount Sinai before receiving the 10 commandments, the number of days and nights that the floods lasted in the Genesis, number of years that the Israelites spent wandering in the wilderness. All these are supposed to be the reasons why a certain number was chosen for something. What number and for what purpose? I got pounces from Debashri, Bertie already, and Jayashri.
Debashri has actually bounced to.
Oh, sorry. That's because I reconnected, didn't realize it had reset this.
Okay.
Sorry.
My pounds came in before that, so do I get points?
Yeah, Bertie and Jayashri's pounds came in before that. So what I'm going to do, I mean, I'll assume I'll just crack the question. There's no point in trying to.
Yeah, really sorry.
No. I sent it while reading the question.
I didn't know this, so thank you.
Anyway, so maybe this is tactical from Debashri to get the questions cracked. Who knows?
Yeah, I didn't even see that Debashri had sent it. I still sent it.
It's okay.
Even I didn't see that Debashri had sent it.
Anyway, that's the right answer. It's essentially the number 40 for the number of days in quarantine. So it was a biblical reason why they picked 40, not any sort of science. And each one has its own theory of why they picked this number. So these are all the theories that were there. All right, I think we're coming to the last question of the quiz. When the plague epidemic broke out in India in the 1890-1910 period, the response of the British in cities like Bombay and Calcutta was to evict people from the crowded urban housing such as chawls and bastis, burn those buildings down before reconstructing. What previous experience was the inspiration behind this policy? So this will essentially be Siddhant's direct.
Yeah, are you saying this previous experience was specific to Bombay and Calcutta only?
I'm not saying any such thing. You need to give me a previous experience that influenced the British to make this policy. You got an answer from Venkatesh.
You said this is the last question, right?
I think at best there's one question after this. If
okay, pouncing.
Right, this was the last question. Okay, I've got a pounce from Bertie and Venki and Jayashree. I'll close pounds in 3, 2, and 1. All right, let me quickly award or deduct points as the case may be. All right, Siddhant, go ahead and make your guess.
Yeah, so this is because the Black Death actually started subsiding in London after the Great London Fire.
That's the perfect answer. So in 1665, there was a major epidemic of bubonic plague in London, which lasted until 1666 and mysteriously died out, especially in the regions which were affected by the Great Fire of London. So the British thought, fire kills the plague. And when fire happened in cities that they were lording over, like Bombay and Calcutta, their first instinctual response was to set fire to where the plague was most rampant. Good answer there by Siddhant. Well done. 10 points to you. 10 points to everyone who pounced except Venki, who did not talk about the Great Fire of London. So no points to, -10 to Venki, but everyone else who pounced got it right. No, there is one more question. Which infectious disease, I think this is definitely the last question. Which infectious disease can be classified as discrete, semi-confluent, confluent, and hemorrhagic? And what's the basis for this classification? So there are two parts. Which disease essentially comes in 4 variants, so to say, and what is the basis for this classification? Discrete, semi-confluent, confluent, and hemorrhagic. You can try and work it out from your knowledge of the meanings of those words. Nitin, there are 2 parts. You need to tell me what's the basis for the classification as well. All right, I've got a pounce from Nitin. Anyone else pouncing? You don't see anyone looking intent. So I'll close pounce, and this is a question to Jayashree. So Venkatesh Iyengar also sent in a guess in time, so that's fine. I'll consider that. Jayashree, go ahead and make your guess.
The only hemorrhagic I know is plague, so I will say this is plague.
No, this is not plague. Moving on to Thejaswi.
I'll go with Ebola and the fact that, blood comes out of the person and they shed.
Okay. Not Ebola. Nitin pounce. Bertie.
Is this cholera? And is the amount of cells that came out?
No. Nikhil?
I'll go with tuberculosis.
Mm-hmm.
And basically they look at the phlegm. So if there was hemorrhagic, means there's blood in the phlegm. Discrete means it's clear. Semi-confluent means there is some yellow stuff. Confluent, it's thick and yellow. Yeah.
Nice guess, but no. Arun?
A pass.
Arun passes to Venki.
Okay, I'll try, say smallpox. And depending on the occurrence of the pustules, so whether they are, spread out apart, together in clumps, separated out, bleeding, things like that.
Perfect answer. Essentially the distribution pattern of the pustules and smallpox. So that's 10 points to you and 10 points to Nitin and Venkatesh on the pounce as well. And I think we've come to the end of the quiz. All right, let me announce what the final scores are. we have a clear winner by just 5 points. And it's Nitin, who I think attempted pretty much every question, took a lot of -10s, took a lot of +10s as well, and ends up on a score of 65.
Are you a doctor?
Yep.
The evidence from his guesses.
Because I was getting only the very medically oriented questions right, and not the history associated.
Very nice.
Even your wrong answers were hovering around what the right answers were. Good job, Nitin. Well-deserved victory. 65 points to you. And right on his heels were 3 people, all 3 on 60. That's Debashri, Nikhil, and Bertie. All of you ended just 5 points short. So you could have outdone the doctor in his game if you had got maybe 1 right answer extra, or one decision of not pouncing on something that you weren't sure of.
Or if my quarantine had gone through.
or if quarantine had gone through.
No, quarantine I think would have been a full house.
Everybody would have gotten it.
Everybody would have got it.
Everybody would have got it.
Quarantine. Yeah, among the others, we had Siddhant on a well-made 45. Just 2 points above him was Venkatesh Angar on 47. We had Venki ending up with 25, but 5 points ahead of him was Arun with 30, and Jayashri had 20. So these were the rest of the scores. So well done, everyone. I had fun researching for this and framing the questions. I hope all you guys made it to the finals also enjoyed. I like the fact that you were brave with your guesses, not caring about negatives at all, which was fun to see. Lots of great guesses. The wrong answers were sometimes more interesting than the right ones. And thanks for everyone who's been watching either on Zoom or on YouTube. Hope you guys enjoyed the quiz and went away with some new stories and anecdotes about infectious diseases. And thanks also to Science Gallery for letting me do this.
Thanks, Thejaswi.
Like I said, I had a lot of fun setting the questions.
No, really interesting questions. And thanks for keeping it short also.
No, I was threatened by don't finish by 4:45. All of our plans are going to go for a toss, so I was reasonably quick.
Lovely funda, lovely trivia. Thanks, Thejaswi.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Very good quiz.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you all for joining.
Thank you.
And I'd like to let all those who thank everyone else who came in for the prelims and those who are watching it on YouTube as well. So there were a lot of answers shared on YouTube, several of them right. So I think people were really into it there as well. So thanks again, Thejaswi, and for everyone who participated. Please do check out the exhibition and share your feedback on the event with us. The link is in the chat box. We also have a talk and a film screening happening. So there's a discussion between filmmaker Miriam Khani and academic Rashmi Sane this evening starting at 5, which is why we have to be on time. And we have a talk by Ananya Kabir on the contagious nature of dance at 6:30. So it's a packed Sunday. Please do join us if you still have time, and have a lovely weekend ahead. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Udupa.